Super Saiyan Goku. His figure finally released, Goku returns to the forefront of Dragon Ball SH Figuarts in time to ravage the wallets of collectors worldwide. Bow weep grana weep ninny bang YouTube. RedWhiteandBluestreak here, wondering where I went wrong financially. Good lord. The SH Figuarts legendary Super Saiyan Goku is the second take on the Saiyan from the climax of the Frieza saga, and also the first 3.0 figure of the character. Now before I get into the particulars of what I mean by 3.0 figure, which that is a point of discussion worth talking about, I should probably give a quick little crash course on this version of the typically cheerful Saiyan. Goku is usually this fight-loving, kind-hearted Saiyan raised on Earth. Go check out that video, But at this point in the Frieza saga, he's driven to his breaking point when the tyrant kills his best friend, Krillin. Not Vegeta, his best friend is and always will be Krillin. Fight me. Why am I so confrontational lately? Anyways, as a result,
his rage explodes, and in a burst of power, he is transformed into a Super Saiyan.
A transformation fueled entirely by rage. Well, apparently not enough rage. Sweet Dende on the lookout, take a look at those shoulders! Legendary Super Saiyan Goku comes in the typical Dragon Ball Figuarts packaging, with all the manga panels and whatnot. And the back is just like any other, or rather, most other Figuarts packaging. Though it is a good deal bigger than any of the other Figuarts I own. Mainly because of the insane amount of accessories. Not yet. Stay your hand, Streak. We have to talk about the core figure first. Tamashii Nations put their whole into this figure, and it starts with the sculpted detail. Every muscle, every tear, and every little scrape and detail on the hair is absolutely beautifully sculpted on this figure. I also love that they decided to put Goku on steroids. Goku has some serious bulk to him here, and that's very true to the art style at the time. And along with that, thanks to whatever material they decided to use with this figure, which feels like a denser, softer plastic compared to the other figures I own, this Super Saiyan has some nice heft to him. It almost makes me feel like I'm holding a more hefty third-party Transformers figure with how satisfyingly weighty this feels. And along with the sculpt work, notice all the nice painted detail on this figure. I know I mentioned in my Naruto Figuarts review that I prefer when there's not a lot of shading detail on the paint of a figure, but I'm gonna be a bit of a hypocrite with this figure. The shading on the hair and the tattered parts add a ton to this figure, along with the colors used. Which, while we're on that topic, it seems like they've gone with a kind of middle ground between manga and anime colors for the clothes here. And when it comes to the body, where there doesn't seem to be really any painted detail, I know it's been a pretty big criticism for this figure when it comes to the color matching between the chest and everything else, but the camera seriously exaggerates this. I swear it's not really noticeable in person at all. Besides, I'm sure you'll be more focused on the amazing paint on all the faces included with this set. Oh yeah, here we go. Accessories are always my favorite part of these non-Transformer reviews, because if it weren't for the transformation, that'd be my favorite part of the Transformer reviews. And this figure comes with more than I've seen on most Figuarts figures, just running short of Sasuke. Starting with the aforementioned amazing faces, he comes with this glaring face out of the box which looks perfect for the wrathful Saiyan. A fantastic cocky smirk to remind Frieza that even though he can destroy a planet,
you can't even destroy a single man!
Or to show Vegeta how proud you are of finally ascending to the legendary form with the alternate bang piece, which is a term that can be either referring to these hair pieces and a yelling face that looks a lot better with this alternate headpiece. Seems like the alternate hair and headpieces are becoming more of a common thing with 3.0 figures, and I'm certainly not opposed to it. It makes these figures a lot more dynamic than they've been in the past. Though I won't lie, I definitely had an issue when it came to the alternate heads, but that's something that we'll mention when we get to the articulation. We'll talk about that. We really need to talk about that. Along with the faces, we of course get the closed fist out of the box, a set of open hands to slap some sense into you! Some slightly closed hands that are perfect for annihilating that fool Frieza, but not really, I guess. Clasping hands that I assume will look amazing with the upcoming full power Frieza figure, a couple of martial arts hands, and a set of open hands with ball pegs in the palms for the included Kamehameha effect piece. That's right, we got an effects piece with this figure, which looks like it might be the same Kamehameha effect piece that's going to be coming with the upcoming GT Kid Goku, at least from what I can tell. Just plug these extra pieces in and plug it into the hands and BAM! Perfect way to display this character while also taking advantage of the amazing articulation. I mentioned earlier that this figure is considered a 3.0 figure sculpt, and while I don't have any 1.0 figure sculpts to compare him to, I definitely have a good amount of 2.0 body sculpts to compare him to, and it all really comes down to how you cut it. Basically, the 3.0 figures are a lot more articulated, but tend to not be covered in as much painted detail. Notice how the new figure here looks like it's got better articulation, which it does. You can tell that with every part of this figure, they made it with the mindset of wanting to allow collectors to recreate exact moments from the fight this figure is referencing. From small moments like Vegeta's acknowledgement of Goku's ascension, to Goku's outburst at the disrespectful mention of Krillin's name in vain, to even the most dynamic poses seen in the fight on the dying Namekian homeworld. I do, however, need to mention one fatal flaw. Yep. My original copy of the figure had a defect where the head socket was so loose that it just kept popping off at the slightest touch. I say original because Big Bad Toy Store was more than kind enough to send me another one in hopes of it not having the same defect while letting me keep the original defective one, which is great because I can use it as a spare body to put another Goku's head on, which we'll review that figure eventually. Now, normally, if this was something that was just like a little one-off thing, just the normal QC issue that you see every once in a blue moon on a, little assembly line, I wouldn't mention this. Especially with my new copy having that issue resolved. But upon it happening to me, I decided to look it up and ended up airing some pretty dirty laundry when it comes to QC issues. Unfortunately, it seems that this was a very common issue with the first wave of this figure's release. I mean, hell, Becca from Big Bad Toy Store mentioned in their email to me that this was a common issue people were facing with the first batch of the figure, which kind of just up and confirms it. I mean, this doesn't seem to really be something that was covered in any YouTube videos that I could find or any shorts, so, I guess I'll be the first to really highlight this issue. There were definitely a lot of forum posts that were covering this, people that were, suggesting different solutions. I went out and bought some sticky tack thinking that might fix the issue because that was something that was suggested to me for this issue with this specific figure. Now, I'm sorry Bandai, but does this sticker mean anything to you anymore? You have defects like these plaguing newer releases from certain lines, and straight up fundamental flaws marring highly anticipated releases like Roronoa Zoro. I'm just saying, when you charge this much and put a sticker of quality on these premium collectible figures, a nice actual quality check would be in order here. Especially with what is easily one of your most anticipated releases. So no, it's definitely not something that's going to be excused, and for anyone that's looking to buy this figure, which, spoilers, I will overall recommend this figure, it's something to keep in mind and look out for. But a big thank you to Big Bad Toy Store, and especially Becca. You helped me out a ton here, because even though I was willing to spend the extra, $70 to get this figure, I wasn't going to be too happy about it. Now all this head talk brings me to another point of slight criticism with this figure. Now a lot of the time, people will swap heads of the figures for characters that they have multiple forms of. It's very nice for things like stop motion. But not only do skin tones not match between this form and the base form of Goku here, which, hey, in that case, Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku is a pretty old figure, so I kind of understand it. Things change, right? But the head sculpt just straight up doesn't fit thanks to the new size ball peg being used in the 3.0 bodies. It's also just a different type of ball peg altogether. You'll notice in a lot of 2.0 figures they use this kind of like, almost Revoltech joint for the ball joint at the head. But here now with the 3.0 figures, they use more of a dumbbell kind of design, which is fine, it's just an interesting change, I guess. And before anyone asks, no, this is not the Saiyan Raised on Earth's head on this body. It's another third-party figure that, once again, I'll review later. It just shows that there's definitely a bit of a dire need for the universal bump up to the 3.0 body type for figures in this line, and I definitely hope Bandai and Tamashii Nations hop on that. But based on some of the new releases and reissues coming, that might not be for a while. Now with all that being said, don't get me wrong, right? Bandai did an amazing job with this figure. This is easily the best Super Saiyan Goku on the market, period. Some might say the hair is a bit large and oddly shaped, but it's meant to be that way and it fits the art style of that arc. The sculpt work and paint work are fantastic on this figure, durable to boot. The only criticisms that I really have with this figure stem entirely from the production issues of the figure, as well as Tamashi's nearly constant teasing of their fans with 3.0 sculpts. No figure worth anywhere near this much, with a nice shiny seal of quality, should be plagued with consistent QC issues like this, and a new base form Goku should be one of their top priorities considering how many people are crying for their 80th Goku in their collection. And also, especially looking at a certain third-party figure, that figure's a little bit dated. But honestly, that's a whole separate issue that doesn't really concern this figure. But with those QC issues in mind, 3.5 out of 5 is going to be my rating for this figure. I fully recommend this figure and think he makes a fantastic addition, and will prove that even more once Full Power Frieza is out. But you unfortunately have to err on the side of caution because of the common QC issue with the head, which is arguably the most important part of the figure. I can guarantee you that if my replacement had the same issue as the original figure, there'd be a much lower score here. I just hope we don't have the same or similar issues with Frieza. I'm fully expecting to use this clip in that video if those QC issues happen, especially because this thing is like twice the price of Goku. Right, enough beating around the bush. Time to simultaneously praise and lay into this figure.